Phase Zero Loki Season 2 bonus episode 6, the finale. Wow. This is our last time doing this on a Thursday night, at least for now, possibly for a long time, given the news that just dropped in the Marvel Cinematic Universe spheres, but we'll talk about that all on Wednesday. I'm Brandon Davis, joined tonight by Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody.
Aaron Perrine.
What's going on?
Jim Viscardi. Goodness gracious. Glorious Purpose is here. First of all, kudos to this Loki finale for being titled Glorious Purpose. This felt like a series finale. It felt like the culmination of the Loki story in every way. But we will save our reactions and reviews for the end of the show. We like to start with a recap, then we have a little break, then we're going to come down and talk about Easter eggs, key points, details we want to talk about. And then we take one more break and then the review, and then we'll talk about what we think this did for the rest of the MCU going forward, because this one seems to be changing things up quite a bit. As you can see, Jamie Durack is not here. Jamie Durack has been doing wonderful, wonderful recaps of these Loki episodes. Jamie's out interviewing people like David Arbor right now.
Jamie is burdened with her own glorious purpose.
Yes.
Exactly. She is out
working with the first actor red carpets post-strike, doing the good work, getting the good quotes. Jamie, we miss you. We can't wait.
So stay tuned to Comic Book and the Phase Zero channel, because David Arbor, among others, at the box lunch event that she is at right now. So we'll have that on the site. But we can start with the recap. I'll try to do the recap. I'm not even going to try to do what Jamie does. I'm just going to run through this quickly in her style, but not with her wit. This episode starts off phenomenally with Natalie Holt proving she never misses, not once, not ever. She couldn't miss if she tried. She could close her eyes, throw up a full court lob, and it would go swish backwards in time. The Marvel Studios logo goes backwards. The Loki theme song plays backwards. This is Edge of Tomorrow meets Loki, because every time Victor Timely dies, Loki goes back in time and has to fix things, and he has to go back further in time to try to get Timely in time to the time multiplier thing. So centuries later, they have the technology. The timelines are infinite, and it can't be fixed, is what Victor Timely declares. So Loki's like, hold on, I got to go back even further in time. And he goes back to the season 1 finale of Loki, where he meets himself. Well, he becomes himself, where he's standing across from Sylvie. And he's like, Sylvie, you can't kill this man. And Sylvie's like, well, you have to kill me. And she says that over and over and over and over and over and over again, because Lokis are destined to lose. And he just keeps losing because he refuses to kill her and stop her, actually. So eventually He Who Remains is like, ha ha ha, I knew this would happen, and my dreams come true, because a Kang variant is actually pulling the strings all along, because since the season 1 finale, when he died, he knew this would happen. So he tells Loki, like, hey, bro, I can pause time. Remember that thing in the Avengers cartoon and the things you've seen in comics before? Well, it's happening right now. Isn't this awesome? So he does that, which actually shows us that in the episode, the season 1 finale, he was pausing time instead of teleporting, which is awesome, because we talked about that. Maybe he was pausing time when he was moving and avoiding getting stabbed. That's actually what he was doing. He was pausing time. Everyone around him was frozen. We were just seeing it in the real time passing, and it appears that he teleports, but really everything paused. Loki decides it's an impossible choice, so he goes back in time to talk to Mobius to get advice, and Mobius tells a story about a variant from the past at the Black Sea who was supposed to get killed because he's going to grow up to kill 5,000 people. He was 8 years old and they couldn't kill him, and then people died, and Ravonna Renslayer is the one who's able to kill people and make the tough choice in order to save the other people. Really going back to a line of dialogue that we're going to have to talk about from the Marvels in tomorrow's bonus episode about the Marvels, because there's a little bit of parallel between those two moments. He ends up sending Victor Timely out to the Lumen Multiplier, gets there, doesn't work. Loki is like, okay, fine, I'll do it myself. Full-on Thanos style, except he's not trying to destroy the universe. He's trying to multiply it. So he goes out there, destroys the Loom. Everything is kind of happily ever after, I think. He gets a new costume, because that's what Disney Plus does. He goes out, he ascends to the throne. He's got a whole bunch of hair strands in his thing. They're actually timelines, and he's giving him life. And back at the TVA, Mobius is like, I'm going to go get a piece of that pie called life. Ravonna Renslayer wakes up in Egypt. No, that's actually the Void. I think Eliath is coming to chow down on her. What was that big purple energy coming to her? I don't know. Maybe it was Kang. Who knows? But there's just a happy ending. What's that?
I think it was Kang, but yes, go ahead.
It was probably Kang. It was made to look like a villain, but I think it is a Kang variant coming to recruit her. Mobius sees his past self. He says, I'm going to let a little bit of time pass. We all cried, and that was Loki Season 2, the hands down best MCU show on Disney Plus ever, but I'll save more thoughts on that for my review at the end of the episode. Any points of this show that I missed? Anything you guys want to talk about real quick out of the gate?
See, I interpreted it to be Eliath, but I do like the idea of it being a Kang. Like, that didn't
I think they wanted you to think it was Eliath, but I think that's one of those, like, don't show and then we can later
Mhm.
somewhere down the line say, oh, here it was Kang. Because I think Ravonna to the Kang story is still too important.
Yeah.
And so I don't think she stops here.
If the next time we see her, she's in her full like comic accurate costume, and that they're just like she's working with Kang, I will be elated. I will be so happy.
At first, when I saw that pyramid, I was like, hold on, is she about to go meet the Kang variant from ancient Egypt? But then, so how did that pyramid get to the void? Somebody pruned a hole.
I mean,
it's a spaceship, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of garbage in the
like
void.
the Avengers Tower and stuff. So there's a lot of big things that are pruned.
Well, that was Kang Enterprises Tower. But yeah,
That's right.
And there was a TVA logo in there in the void. I honestly forgot that Renslayer went to the void. When this was wrapping up, I was like, "Are we going to see Renslayer again?" And then it just checked in with her really nicely. And I actually thought the show was going to end without checking in on Loki again. When we went to Renslayer, we went to Mobius and B-15 and all that. I was like, "Is this show not going to cut back over to Loki?" And it did one time. I was like, "This is the perfect way to end the show." I was sat all the way through the credits. I thought maybe just like last season, we would get that Loki will return in season 3. But this felt like a series finale. Like this felt like the end of these. Obviously, it's not the end of the stories. It felt like this is the end of this story in a really fulfilling way.
Here's what I'm going to say. This also could have worked like as a finale for the MCU.
I feel, I'm not going to lie. I felt like I could step off here.
This is a very easy jumping off point right here in this moment.
Tons of Lost fans on this panel. Just a ton of Lost fans. All of you just doing that.
Jamie's going to be so sad she missed that.
Right. Goodness.
No, but I mean, like, look, and I put this on Twitter. Like, Loki, I think this ending is a perfect example of how, of all of the great things the MCU is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
There's this saying there's no bad characters, only bad stories, and I think again, right, like it blows my mind all of the conversation that's been in the talk lately, about like budgets and how much money all of this stuff costs. And here you've got Loki. I don't know how much Loki costs. They clearly put a lot of money into this, but like this feels like the right amount of money. Kofi on Comic Book Nation had a note where it's like, look, this season in particular is them just doing laps around the TVA. So from a set standpoint, there's not much difference.
Well, they also had to build all of the 1893 World's Fair, which is the biggest set they ever built for this show.
Sure. Right. So I think they spent money there, and then they obviously spent a lot on TVA. But like, to me, this feels like smart money used, right? Like the money here spent was whatever they spend on it, to me, is totally worth it. And I think it's just like, I would like more of this, less of what we've been getting, please.
I mean, I think a lot. I think the audiences are showing they agree with you on that, as much as us diehard Marvel fans are finding things we enjoy in all of the Disney Plus shows that have been released, whether it's Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, What If, you name it, Hawkeye, it doesn't matter. We all are finding things we like in that, but the general audiences are not as big as they were. There's no denying there's less people watching right now. And I think, well, maybe that's because there's a little too much coming out. It's great for us, great for our show. We get a lot to talk about. We get to enjoy it. But also I think there's just no denying it's general audiences that aren't as diehard about the MCU, who aren't as, embedded in the communities and stuff like that online. This is what you need to do a couple times a year. I think you're better off doing this quality of a story, this quality of a show a couple times a year. If they were all this good though, maybe it would be a different story, because they weren't all this good in my opinion. But this was just phenomenal.
This also had I love that one of the most fleshed out characters in the entirety of the MCU is this Loki, or is Loki, kind of, period. But like, okay, but I need some help clearing up some things.
Okay.
This is the Loki that stole the cube from Endgame.
Yes.
Right? So this is technically not the Loki from Avengers?
This is the Loki from Avengers.
It is the Loki from Avengers, but it's not the Loki from Avengers.
Well, no, it 100% is the Loki from Avengers, but he has not gone on to live out Thor: The Dark World, Avengers: Infinity
That's
War.
okay,
Thor
right?
Ragnarok.
But that's what I mean, right? So like the Loki that we lived with through the Dark World and Ragnarok is not this Loki.
Yes.
Correct.
The diversion point is the end of Avengers when he like his mouth is covered and Thor's taking him away.
Okay.
Like so
Yeah.
the rest of the events of those movies have happened to both Lokis.
Almost wish that wasn't the case.
So there is no Acura NSX ad coming up in Loki's future in New York City, where Bruce Banner and Tony Stark hug in fancy suits. There is just the Tesseract getting him out of there, where Matthew Barry made a bad fantasy football prediction, and he was like, "I'm out."
I almost hate that. Like I understand, like
I don't mind it. I think it's this is how you. This is the only way to make a multiverse character interesting, in my
I
opinion.
mean, sure.
Oh, well, maybe
But
not the
also-
only way, but this is the best way they've done it so far. Sorry, this is certainly not the only way.
But I wish
But-
it was our Loki.
Our Loki.
It is though.
It is our Loki. Both of them can be our Loki.
But there is a ton. There's a ton of really good things to like about Loki in Dark World and Ragnarok.
This is as much our Loki,
And we don't
as Gamora.
get that, and we don't necessarily get that from this Loki. I mean, we do, but we don't.
It's as much our Loki as
Multiverse.
Gamora was our Gamora in Guardians 3, really.
right.
As if Gamora, though, had watched a video of her life and come around to the ideas and enjoyed them and embraced them.
Well,
Loki
didn't
here,
she? Kind of. Isn't that what happens in Guardians 3 when she's talking to Groot?
I mean, she kind of was just like, listen, it sounds like that would have been fun, but I'm not that person. But
it's kind of implied that like Peter has told her about
Right.
everything that had
Yeah.
happened. I
love
think
time
there's
travel.
I think there's value in loving both of these Lokis, and I think
sure.
that having this opportunity of having Loki's death in Infinity War still matters so much to that story and to that character, and still getting to continue stories with him in this different way. I think they have done that in a way that is very admirable and is very hard to do. So the fact that they've stuck the landing and gotten to this point with him is insane.
100%. We have over 500 people watching live right now. If you're watching on the Phase Zero YouTube
Whoa.
channel, make sure you subscribe, because tomorrow we're going to be doing this for the Marvels. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have an interview with the Loki executive producer, Kevin Wright, which I'm doing tomorrow. We will get that up on the channel as fast as possible. If you have questions for Kevin Wright, drop them in the chat. I'll pick some of the best ones and maybe we'll use them. But there's a lot to discuss there. Anything else we want to talk about just in terms of kind of looking back at this episode before we get into our really deep dive breakdown, talking about Easter eggs, talking about specific story points?
Loki's new costume is great.
Oh my god.
It's fantastic.
I was hooting and hollering when the horns kept growing progressively longer. Like that, I never thought we could get that cartoony with them in this way, but they made it look so good. I almost am like, I'm going to buy all the merch. I know. I hate it already.
That costume was fantastic. I can't wait to see the Hot Toys figures. Where's the Mobius Hot Toys figure? Where? Just give me a gray-haired man in a brown suit and
That's
charge
what
me
you-
$250 for it. Dear God. God of stories, maybe. But yeah, so that's our kind of recap on this Loki finale, which I think everybody seems quite impressed with, especially in the comment section. Guys, if you have questions for us, you have things that you want us to talk about, drop them in the comment section. If you're listening to us in podcast form, you can send us your tweets later. We love to hear from you on that regard. Leave a 5-star review. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break. When we come back, it's time to talk about some Easter eggs, a deeper dive into the details of this episode. And after that, we will give our full review score for this episode. I think we could also maybe review the season as a whole. So we'll do that. So we'll see you in just a minute. Subscribe to the channel. Welcome back to Phase Zero Loki Season 2 bonus episode number 6, aka the finale. I can't believe we're already at the finale. These Thursday nights have been so much fun. Our audience is just growing week after week, and we're having so much fun seeing that and hearing from people who are enjoying the show. So it's time for one last deep dive into the episode. And I think we could start with, we can start with the fact they went back to the Season 1 finale, and Kang, he who remains, saw that coming, and he even dropped to RIP HWR. And I was like, damn, this man is using Twitter right now in not even real time, in fake time. But the temporal loom is revealed to has always been a fail safe to delete all the other timelines and save the sacred timeline, so that ultimately he who remains in his timeline remain no matter what. Which takes me back to the missed minutes on the screen going, thank you for your service, because they always knew they were just going to wipe those people away. Kang felt like a true villain here. Like, this kind of felt like I felt the gravity, the potential, the power that Kang has over the multiverse when he was showing Loki how easily he manipulated him to that point where they were just on a loop right there in the Citadel. Oh, Jenna, you're muted.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. It was so nihilistic, and I loved it. Like you said, I think that this kind of showed how evil a Kang can be, which is something that we've been struggling with and wanting to see more of. And I just thought that the way that they did it was just so interesting. I don't know. I thought it was super well done.
Well, I think that's the kind of that's the craziest thing, right? Like, we were just talking about how obviously these Disney Plus shows draw smaller eyeballs than the movies, right? And this is the most character development that makes Kang threatening than anywhere else, right? And so where else do we get that? I mean, I got to imagine hopefully it's somewhere. We're only getting one Marvel movie next year, but hopefully it's somewhere else. Hopefully soon.
I mean, that's assuming they stick with the Kang dynasty as the next Avengers movie anyway.
Sure. I mean, yes. Right.
I don't know where you put Kang in unless you start putting variants in other projects like Victor Timely, but they're not as nice. They're not as friendly, and we start to see them pop up.
But I think, but He Who Remains even says, like, Victor Timely was kind of playing you, which is kind of what we were thinking a little bit, from episode 4, right? Where where He Who Remains is like, oh, is that what he told you? Right? Like, it just gave the impression that, even Victor Timely had his own, obviously, motivations there in a way that He Who Remains was just kind of like, that son of a...
Yeah, I like how there was a reference to Ant-Man Kang in this movie, in this episode at the end there when B-15 goes to talk to Mobius. He's pulling a file and says he's investigating a Kang that was in a parallel world to 616. So obviously referencing the quantum realm. There's pictures of him in that. I actually pulled it up on my screen. We don't have a screenshot of it, but I'm looking at it right now. And there's actually photos from Ant-Man in black and white in that folder. And it's really hard to, it's right at the, let's see what time this is in the series. It is right about 43 minutes and 38 seconds in. You can look at it, and there's so much fine. I'm going to do this. Watch this, just so we have just so we could see it. But it's not HD on my screen right now because I can't even read it. But I do want to eventually find the HD version.
So when we get season 2 on the 4K Blu-ray, they released season 1, that's it. And now we know where to go look.
Right. Exactly. I want to see that in 4K because that's Kang as he appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Yeah, that's a picture of him. I'm not sure what that is. I guess that's another picture of Kang.
No, that's the battery. That's the multiverse engine.
Oh, that's the Harbulary batteries.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. That's a Drax reference. I'm so sorry.
I will say I would laugh if you really want to know what that dossier says and then it just ends up being like the most generic synopsis. Like, I get war flashbacks to one time on one of the Arrowverse shows. They just copied the Wikipedia for Azrael and just translated it and put it in a screen at one point. Like, it could just end up being that, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Loki is the one thing that gives me confidence that things in this saga are going to connect. And Quantumania and Loki already did collaborate. So we haven't seen a lot of that. We saw that between Hawkeye and Black Widow, and now we've seen it between Loki and Quantumania. And yes, Spider-Man wasn't possible without Loki season 1, but like there was no real clear, tangible like story way that you could actually equate them other than Loki made the multiverse possible. But like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were already Spider-Man anyway. Oh, and Miss Marvel in the Marvels, obviously, yes, that character as a whole goes on to the Marvels. But in terms of story, yeah, I guess they're just Ant-Man and Loki did a good job with it. That's all I got to say about that. Marvels did a good job with it too. Secret Invasion, completely forgotten, however, and connected to nothing, which we will talk about on tomorrow's The Marvels episode, tomorrow afternoon on the Phase Zero channel. We'll give you an exact time tomorrow morning on what time we're going to release that and broadcast it on the channel. All right, what else? The Loki can pause time too. That's powerful stuff. That's cool. I love that Kang is pausing time. There's an animated series where you can watch how terrifying it is for Kang to pause time. You can read also the Avengers Forever comic and see Kang pause time. That is really a powerful thing because you can just pause it while Thor's about to swing his hammer and just kill Thor before Thor's even unpaused. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's going to be awesome to see how the Avengers, and also terrifying, see how the Avengers have to fight that in Kang Dynasty if the movie does happen.
Okay, well, see now that kind of brings up the question of in the Slack chat, folks were saying, it is Loki becoming what's in the comic book for Secret Wars, the Hickman one, the God Emperor Doom stand-in, or my theory is that he's the new He Who Remains, and that Loki gets put on the shelf for a little bit and will return in a Portals-like moment in Secret Wars, with some kind of heroic return, bringing other people to the, other heroes to the thing. But again, right. But that's kind of why I asked the question in the beginning of like, whose Loki is this? Where I feel like the Loki that continued on in the main 616 would do that. This one may, I don't know. We just or would he just kind of do it for like the people that he's grown close to, which is Mobius and Sylvie and the TVA. And so like, that's kind of the wrinkle in my theory.
This Loki still has a brother Thor who he still reluctantly loved, even if he didn't admit it in the first Thor movie and the first Avengers movie. There was definitely always a bond there. So I do think he ultimately, the universe he is loyal to is the universe he spawned from. No?
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
But I think you're right. I think he's going to be kind of a combination of a new He Who Remains, Emperor Doom, the Beyonder, all these different versions of the godlike character that is pulling the strings in Secret Wars. He's going to, and that's what they love to do in these event movies that are based on event comics. They kind of pull a couple different things from a couple different events, and then they put them in one.
But this is a good opportunity, like I said, to put Loki on the shelf for a little while. We don't need to see Loki for a while. I would love to see Loki again, but we really don't need to. And I almost kind of hope they show some restraint and they kind of keep him away for a bit. So that way, when he does come back, we get that like, holy shit moment. Oh man. And I hope again, right, that like there's enough time that passes before that happens.
I agree with that. I think that there's a way to do it to where I also think making the choice to kind of amalgamize him in all of these sort of Secret Warsy roles is really smart, because by the time we get to that storyline being told in the movies, even if you are an audience member who doesn't watch the Disney Plus shows and isn't keeping up with the nitty gritty, you recognize Loki and you recognize Tom Hiddleston as Loki. And so you might be confused by him jumping to that point, but you can see it and you can follow it. But yeah, I agree. I feel like we don't need to see him unless there's a really, really good lore reason between now and Secret Wars.
But now I almost like the whole idea of incursions. I guess doesn't matter anymore, right? Because like incursions were multiverses crashing in on one another, and if the multiverse problem is presumably fixed with Loki holding it all together, then that's not necessarily a problem anymore, is it?
He's not holding all of them. He's holding the ones he can hold.
Yeah.
There's other ones. There are already Kang variants out there, even though the TVA still has a chance. So, like, you're still getting incursions. They're still out there. Yeah. He's giving y'all a lifeline to figure it out, some lifeboats to figure it out before everything goes to crap.
Okay. That's
I once heard a hero say, "Save who you can."
Mhm.
But it seems like that might be what Loki did. I mean, I know Jenna has thoughts on Loki's comic equivalent that he just became.
I mean, like we said, like there are so many, like I do feel like he is kind of the amalgam of all of these things, but on top of that, he's the god of stories now. Like this is the MCU's way of kind of ushering in that era of Loki storytelling. Like outside of just, putting him in a white void and completely having it be comic accurate, I think they handled that in such a cool way. I was hooting and hollering when we got to that entire sequence because I would not have expected it to be done, much less done in that way.
Mm-hmm. I want to know about the variant of the Black Sea. So I realize I missed a little bit of dialogue because I can't pause because I have to finish the show immediately so I can come do this show. I know there was a little piece of dialogue I missed there. Was there anything that implied that variant was somebody significant?
I don't think so.
I refuse to admit anything is an accident. I refuse to accept.
I was writing our recap, so I didn't get to research, but I definitely want to look and see if there's maybe some sort of comic that involves the Black Sea and we could hint at what that character is. But off the top of my head, I have absolutely no idea.
I mean, Frank being, an escape and based on a real life escaped prisoner from Alcatraz, I'm kind of sitting here I bet there is some historical figure that was responsible for killing 5,000 people around the Battle of the Black Sea, not to be confused with the Battle of Blackwater. But I mean, I didn't know if there was something I missed there. So ultimately, Mobius declared that variant was pruned, right? Or was killed?
Yeah.
By Ravonna.
Yes.
Ravonna's a savage, dude.
I love
that's
it.
That's why I believe that she we're not done with Ravonna yet.
No way we're done with Ravonna.
Absolutely not.
If more Kang story is coming, more Ravonna story is coming, and the two of them are about to dominate some timelines together, whether he wants a partner or not, I think that's going to happen. I think that's about all the Easter eggs I have. I mean, you guys want to talk about the World Tree? Did you guys already that?
I mean, we can.
Please.
Yeah.
Well, so the design that's shown in the TVA is very World Tree looking, right? And I think you can go one of two ways. Is the MCU kind of gonna massage what it has already established the World Tree is? Because the World Tree gets a mention as early as Captain America the First Avenger, where Red Skull is being super German and talking about Jagdrill and blah blah blah, and there's a whole thing of it on the wall. And then we get Jotunheim is one of the realms, and obviously we visit Jotunheim in the MCU, and so is it the World Tree? Is it not the World Tree? Is it a new World Tree? Maybe. Jenna, thoughts?
I feel like for the purpose of Secret Wars, this is the World Tree. I feel like I also just loved that pan and that reveal so much, because if you had told me at the start of this season that is where we would have ended up with the loom, I would have believed you, but I wouldn't have thought of that myself. I think there are plenty of ways in this franchise to, like you said, kind of massage and casually retcon something, because it was originally introduced before this franchise was even really a franchise. I think something like going as early back as Cap 1 and as Dark World, there's a way to kind of make it to where that they might be talking about the same thing, but they might not view it in the way that it actually is. They might view it as more of a mythological thing than we actually now know it is, or they just pull a fake Infinity Gauntlet with it and that wasn't really the World Tree.
So for those of us unfamiliar, can somebody give me a quick crash course on the World Tree?
Jim, go for it.
The World Tree is represents the 9 realms of presumably the universe, right? And so it's the biggest problem is that the MCU has established that Asgardians are not gods, they're aliens, right? And so in the sense of the World Tree, where they're are quote gods, I guess they're part of it, that there's 9 realms that represent the kind of the different kind of, not warring factions, but because Odin inevitably with Asgard sitting at the crown of it, basically united everything and created peace or whatever. And so it's that. But again, right? Like I think even chat mentioned it. Like if this could be something that Loki is using as a familiar device because it's something that he knows and is putting it together that way. And then I mean, look, for all intents and purposes, the other realms of the 9 realms could just be other planets, right? And so if that's the case, then yeah, sure. Here's the New World Tree.
Well, so in theory, though, that could be a big central figure to the Multiverse Saga going into Secret Wars, and it could be a place where a lot of different heroes and villains are going to end up interacting and crossing paths as their universes kind of coincide, all going through that location with Loki being the centerpiece.
Yes.
Interesting. Hey, we have 650 people watching live right now. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for joining us for our Loki season 2 finale episode. The Marvels episode is coming up tomorrow. We're really excited and hope you'll join us for that as well. We're talking about this finale, glorious purpose.
Where did the gold come from in Loki's throne? Like I guess it just.
Well, that's kind of the question I have, because I feel like with that at the Citadel at the end of time, it looks like cracks throughout that, but they're golden. So I kind of think that whatever that is sort of like part of the structure almost intentionally. It makes it look old and run down, but that stuff was running through that place already in the season 1 finale. So maybe it's just being rebuilt.
That was my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't care. It looked cool. That's pretty much all I got from it.
I think the other kind of lingering thing that's out there is what happens to Sylvie? Where does she go?
I mean, what happens to everybody?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Morbius presumably goes back.
Morbius.
Not Morbius. Right, I meant Mobius. Mobius back and lives his life.
Well, he can't though. He can't go back and live his life. Like, what is he about to do? Pull a Wanda?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that.
You would have to get rid of himself. Could you imagine the feeling of going anywhere in time and actually observing yourself having a good time? I feel like that would be one of the single most incredible feelings ever, to go to a past moment and see yourself having fun. I think that would be the most fulfilling, incredible, overwhelming joy you could feel, even better than actually experiencing that moment anyway.
But I also, at the same time, I get why he was kind of overwhelmed by it, because he has the whole remark of like, oh, this is the nicest lawn on the block or whatever. Like, he was kind of like almost amazed by it. Yeah, it would be very trippy.
And the way that they put that shot on him with the sun just on his face, it was just perfect. I'm just gonna let some time pass. Wow, that's great. But Sylvie, I don't know. So
what does he do? He's just gonna watch this timeline play out from afar on a jet ski somewhere?
He has a tent pad, right?
I think so.
Man, if I'm him, just go rob a few banks and live happily ever after in every timeline.
I was gonna say, like, he has the ability to make whatever life he wants. He has the ability to do what Sylvie did, like in the start of season 2, and just like, what does his, like, that was the life before the TVA got to him. He doesn't have to continue that life with his 2 kids if he doesn't want to. He could just go be on a jet ski forever.
Okay. So I speak as someone who has a kid, right? There is no way I could like just go start a new life with and not want to be involved in the life I know I now just found out I left.
Yeah, but you remember that life and you feel that life. Mobius doesn't have that feeling.
Yeah,
but he does he?
He doesn't though.
He knows it exists, but he doesn't feel it. You know, he doesn't have the memories. He doesn't have the emotions that come with that.
Because this Mobius like started from the end of episode 4 and then diverged in this episode. He didn't go through the whole thing of everyone being like rebooted back to their human selves. Right. So he just knows that this exists, and that was the thing he was saying all season of like, do I even want to know what my life looks like? Yeah. And so now he knows, but he doesn't have to follow it. It's also, I think the fact that there's another Mobius there, it's like he's not leaving the kids by themselves. Like, I think he knows they're going to be okay.
He's about to go to Dawn right there on the front lawn and say, "This is me being reasonable." He's going to put him in the trash can. He's going to take over. I'll take it from here. That's
how you get hit with a bagel, BD.
With a bagel. Oh man, that's a spotty reference right there. Sylvie, I have no idea where she goes. She could go to McDonald's in any universe. I feel like she just is happy to feel like she has free will, and it seems now a lot of these universes are kind of living happily ever after and with some sense of stability. So I bet she's thrilled about that.
I almost wonder if she becomes the Loki of the main, she becomes our new Loki.
I just don't see how Loki even plays a part. Like, there's no upcoming title where any Loki needs to play a part, in my opinion.
He's a little
That's
too
true.
old to be a young Avenger, but I could have seen her kind of fit in there.
I mean, she is also kind of Enchantress in the same sort of way. Like when she was first introduced, it was like, oh, this is Enchantress and Lady Loki hybrid. So if we needed an Enchantress-esque character, you could always throw her in there.
When I first saw Loki walking out through the out of the loom towards the little button, I thought when the costume was first coming onto him, I thought he was like de-aging into a kid. I thought we were seeing like you thought that, Aaron?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it too.
I thought he like became that teen, like a dip, like the teenage Loki we saw in the late in season 1 and stuff, and then he was going to eventually keep becoming all the like younger or all the other Lokis or something, and then ultimately those horns came out, and I was like, "Woo, this is fire!"
I'm now just picturing baby Loki, like just Benjamin buttoning through that entire walk.
Scott Lang in Endgame.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, PG.
I honestly thought he was de-aging though, and if my birthday's coming up, so if I can have that walk, I'll take it. All right. Anything else we want to talk about in terms of the deep dive before we get into the review portion of the show?
I think we covered it.
Aaron's deep in thought.
Why? Oh, well, I guess he inverted the story. That's why all the new TVA handbooks are yellow and red instead of red and yellow now, or like orange and yellow. Like, so is it different? That's interesting to think about. Like, is handing young Victor Timely the yellow one instead of the orange going to actually turn him into He Who Remains instead? Because it seemed like he was
but he didn't get one though. I think that was the whole point.
They show that he didn't get one.
Yeah, that was the whole point of that scene. He doesn't get one.
He's just
making candles somewhere.
He's just living his life.
Okay, that's better. He's just making candles somewhere in Chicago. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then his house gets torn down for the World's Fair. Solid.
Yeah. He lived through the fire, like everything.
Victor Timely seemingly got to just grow up and be an inventor and a little luminary, as he referred to himself.
Okay.
But
so
without
that is now 3 Kang variants who have gotten the out of the millions that exist out there.
Well,
I mean, he died on natural causes, though. Like, he didn't get
I know, this one was very human.
Sure.
This was just, we're not going to enlighten you. And
okay,
make you
taken off. Those are 3 Kang variants taken off the board.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe Victor Timely will come back and be a hero in the next in one of the Avengers movies.
There is a question that's been in the chat that I've seen a bit. It was like, what now is the purpose of the TVA?
I was about to ask that. Other than being happily ever after and eating key lime pie and having discussions about work and monitoring stuff.
Well, but it was on that sign. The sign, the sign where you first kind of goes. It says it's like grow and cultivate your timeline instead of prune your timeline.
So I assume that means watch out for all the Kangs. They're probably all
I think now the TVA is basically just a Kang monitoring system.
Yeah, I think
it's the wall.
Yeah.
Holy crap, it's the wall. Oh no.
But like it's this thing, because like going from season 1 to now of like there is only one timeline and we must protect that, to like now we can protect tons of them, as many as Loki is holding. I think that is now their new purpose, is to just view it as like a multifaceted thing.
It is the MCU life alert.
Yes.
I think they will. I've fallen. My universe has fallen, and it can't get up.
Yeah.
I do think they'll be in Deadpool 3. I think that rumor is going to turn out to be true. Yeah. And I think that they'll probably be a really interesting factor in that. Who knows if they have a big role, but if you think about that Deadpool 2 credit scene, and even X-Men Days of Future Past, like that franchise has used time travel, and Deadpool has abused time travel, so they would seemingly go out there, and maybe they'll just maybe the dog pool that we saw today is going to show again like a Deadpool core. Like, maybe there's like a whole bunch of Deadpools that are about to be a part of it, and the TVA
I have to imagine that now the TVA is more tasked with keeping variants in their own timeline as opposed to just zapping the ones that cross into other timelines. So like if you're a variant and you end up in another timeline, the TVA shows up and says, no, you go back home, and brings you back to your timeline, because there's no pollutant of the timelines here.
I think so, and that's probably going to be a factor in Deadpool 3.
In Deadpool, right? Like that's correct.
Wolverine died. Why is there Wolverines popping up in different places?
Yeah,
we got to get this under control.
Then again, I guess that's where you guys mentioned the whole point of like how convergence can come back, in that like, if 2 universes bump up against one another, and like a bunch shake out and fall into the other one, then like that's where it gets messy.
Also, there's no more failsafe to replace it. So if they screw up and it really ends this time,
That is true.
We're boned. So good luck, everybody. I hope you
That
guys
is a
figure
very
that
good
out.
point.
I would assume that in Kang Dynasty, the TVA will be destroyed, and that will be the Infinity War of this piece. And then Secret Wars will come as a result of the multiverse finally becoming unstable and incursions happening. And it seems we are going to be familiarized with other universes. Loki season 2 did it. Deadpool 3 is about to do it. Something else that's coming before Deadpool 3, if you saw it, there's other multiverse stuff already in play in the MCU, exploring stuff like that. That's really interesting. So I think they have a lot of work to do. I think there's the MCU is clearly taking a step back to kind of recalibrate with the fact that Deadpool 3 is only the only Marvel movie coming next year. What If, about to drop in December, Echo, the only show in January, and then possibly Agatha as the only other series next year coming in late 2024. So I think they're about to recalibrate and try to really hone this thing in and maybe get it more connected and slow things down a bit. I don't think Secret Wars is coming in 27 anymore.
Yeah, no,
can I windmill you before you scoot off 8 years in the future? Like, I think that actually when they lose in Kang Dynasty, the battlefield of Battle World is the TVA. That's why it was dirt under where Ravonna was standing. I think that he builds Battle World on top of my conquest because they're conquerors. Like,
that
would be cool.
I will say that the TVA dying off now makes me even more glad that Mobius left, because I would hate if that was how he ended. Like, I still need the mental image of him like riding a jet ski through space into Secret Wars, and if we didn't get that and he just died in the TVA, I would be so sad.
People are talking about the schedule for next year in the chat. Spider-Man freshman year, I don't know when that's coming. Cap 4 delayed to 25. So yeah, not a whole lot coming next year. X-Men 97 though is still supposed to come next year. Yeah, I like that Battle World theory quite a bit. November 9th, 2023. Stamp it, because whenever Secret Wars does come out, we can revisit this and call Aaron Perine a prophet once again.
Yeah.
Aaron has been
hope I'm
correct
still
many
alive.
times. And I don't.
I hope so too.
I'm still here. I might not be at this rate.
Listen, I'm not, man. I was like, you know what? I just want to do this job until Secret Wars come out. I want to host Phase Zero until Secret Wars comes out. And then I'll step off right then and I'll live happily ever after. But now it's like, I'm gonna be an old man.
We're going to be living in jars. We're going to be living in jars by the time it comes out.
I'm telling you, it's going to be like Scott Lang's head and What If is going to be hosting this thing by the time Secret Wars comes out. Okay, well, you want to hear our reviews. You want to hear our 10 score for this episode. You want to hear us rate this season of Loki. Well, stick around to subscribe to the channel. Over 650 people watching right now. We love you all for it. This has been such a fun ride with Loki Season 2. I'm really sad. Actually, very sad this is coming to an end. We debated doing this on Thursday nights. I'm really glad we decided to do this. I wish Jamie could be here with us. We're stuck with Jim Viscardi, but it's okay for the finale.
Can I say one thing, because Jamie's not here? I love when Loki is going out the door and he turns to Sylvie and to Mobius, and it's like, I'm doing this for you, and it's not really clear which of them he's really talking to, because the answer is both. And
the answer is both.
After all of the throuple shipping discourse that Jamie endured earlier in the season, I'm really glad that we got that moment.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Quick 1 minute break. When we come back, it's time for our review scores out of 10. Chat, leave your review score for tonight's episode of Loki, the season 2 finale, out of 10 in the chat during the break, and see if it lines up with what we're about to say. See you in a moment. Welcome back for the last time to our Phase Zero Loki Season 2 bonus episodes. This is the finale bonus episode. It's time to review it. We'll start with reviewing this episode, and then we will review really quickly Season 2 as a whole, see how it ranks up against other MCU shows on Disney+. Aaron, you have the tremendous fortune of being at the top of the screen. And you have the tremendous fortune of being muted.
No.
Jenna, you have the tremendous fortune of Aaron was muted, and so
Oh man,
Aaron's good. He's good. He's back.
Let Aaron go first.
No, you could. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say that Rochambeau. I'm gonna go 9 out of 10 because I mean, good
For the
God,
episode.
yes, for the episode. Natalie Holt, like just
Mm-hmm.
playing the Phil
MVP.
Collins piano on fire meme the entire episode. I don't understand why she went so hard, but we're glad she did. I am thrilled to get. I was hoping, because if you watch the teaser image that they put out earlier, you got hints that we were going back to the Citadel to have like this conversation, and it lived up to it because I was like, oh my God. Also, weirdly, the stuff at the beginning, I was cheering. Yes, that exact meme. If you're listening in podcast forms, I'm sorry about your look. Go to know your meme and piano on fire. Google, you'll be fine. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know where we're going other than just Kang being a threat, but I'm happy that everybody seems really excited.
Jenna?
I would definitely say like 8.5 out of 10. I think that there are a couple moments in this episode where the narrative tension kind of almost runs out of like kind of the repetition goes on a little bit too long, but I think they did this really, really well. This reminded me of my favorite Peter Capaldi Doctor Who arc, that like Hellbent Heaven Sent arc, where he goes through the world's longest time loop and like ages over centuries, and it is beautiful. And this felt like that. And then just getting to the final moments with Loki and having all that, like I said, I was almost lightheaded. I was so happy we were getting to that point. So
Love it. Jim?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with like 8.5. I think is a solid rating for the episode. Again, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there are absolute moments of this that I loved, but I'm not going to lie. There were definitely a few moments where I hit that skip 10 seconds button more times than I probably care to admit.
What is wrong with you?
I mean, there are a few moments that just lingered a little too long, and I wanted to get to the next thing.
Wow.
the chat is in shambles. They need to know like what you're talking about.
This is why.
Okay, chat. All right, don't come after me. There are plenty of times where you're hitting that plus 10 seconds button.
Literally,
and
no one does that.
And you're hoping no one notices.
Literally, nobody does that ever.
Do you also speed up Netflix? Do you like change the speed on Netflix to like?
I watch shows like I watch Love Is Blind. I ride that button. I literally all I do
Love Is Blind.
I hit that button so many times just to get through, and then like when something good shows up, I go, okay, all right, perfect.
Wow.
But again, right? Like, but I think that this episode had some pacing issues, but give me the moment inside the Citadel all day, every day kind of thing. Because like that was great. And then but even then, I think it was one of those things. Like even there, I was like, well, I'm gonna hit it once or twice here because there was.
I've never seen one of us get cooked this hard. Yeah, you are the cookout. You are the barbecue. Marinate them, grill them up, turn them over, roast the other side.
Barbecue chicken alert!
Literally, nobody does that.
All right, look, I'm the only one brave enough to admit it.
Nobody does that.
No, there
I don't do it because I have to recap the show. If I skipped ahead, I would get in trouble.
Going, you know what, Jim? I do that too, and it's okay.
I know I'm typically the warden with the keys, but Jim, I got an army of 500 people watching live who want you back in jail.
If we didn't already have the jail bit, like we would be having it now.
We would have it now.
The time loop.
Jim used to convince me.
Look, it's a tool. Oh, are you going to go there? Go ahead.
How you pranked me once?
Yeah, go for it.
Jim, we used to work. So here's what happened. Quick story to end this. This is here a little completely not related to Loki, but you want to know how the comicbook.com office works? Back in the day, pre-COVID, we're in our old office, Jim's desk was right next to mine. Now Jim's big old fancy man with his own office, but Jim used to be right next to me. So there's a glass wall behind Jim where the video editors, John and Jill and other people at the time, would all be in there editing videos. So they could see Jim and under his desk and his computers and all that, because the way it was set up, I'd be facing them. Jim's back would be to them. So Jim told me one day that he takes naps under his desk in the middle of the day on his lunch break, that he's got a pillow and he goes under there and he takes naps. And I was like, Jim, you do not take naps under your desk. And so then he calls John out, and he's like, John, you've seen me sleeping under my desk, right? And John was just like, yeah, you just curl. I've seen you just lay under your desk for a little bit. I'm always wondering what you're doing. And everybody in the office made me believe that Jim naps under his desk. And I fully was like in on it. I don't know how we even got to this story now, but eventually it came out that Jim, in fact, did not take naps.
Okay, no, let's not. It's not. It came out. I went to lunch one day and I left a note under my desk, which was a picture of me giving Brandon the bird, and and Brandon was like, "Hey, where's Jim?" And everyone said, "Oh, he's probably taking a nap." And Brandon came around the desk to take a look to see if I was there,
and there it was.
I
was also
there.
Faked Ninja's autograph once too.
Flipping him the bird.
Gaslight gatekeeper.
I'm telling you. You know what everybody wishes they could have done on the live stream just now? Hit the 10 seconds forward button.
Well,
right.
Brandon, what's your rating?
I was prolonging my story. You want to hit the 10 seconds forward button? I'm hitting the 10 out of 10 button. I think this was great. I loved every second of it. It was 57 plus minutes long with credits. I know credits are about 1 hour long, so we got -3 minutes of actual footage. But this was fantastic. This is how you end a show. This felt like not only a season finale, it felt like a series finale. I felt the most emotion from a Disney Plus show, any Disney Plus show, but Marvel show that I've ever felt since Vision probably left that note that said to grow old in. I have not felt this strongly about characters. I have not felt this strongly about the story. I have not been this impressed by music. I have not been this impressed by set design, production design, just story structure, all of it. I think that this one landed Loki season 2 and made it. I'll just be the first one to go here and say I think this season of Loki is probably a 9.5 out of 10, and it is definitively, unquestionably, there is no room for error, mistake, or argument on this, the best show Disney Plus has ever released and Marvel has ever released on Disney Plus. It is ahead of WandaVision. I know, come at me. It's better than Loki season 1. Jim, it is so much better than Moon Knight. Sorry, Jenna, it's better than She-Hulk. Aaron, it's better than Falcon Winter Soldier and Ms. Marvel. This is it. This is the one. I'm starting the fight. I'm fighting the good fight. Loki wins.
I will say, you did say all of Disney Plus, so that includes The Mandalorian, which I know you really
love. I love The Mandalorian. I would have put The Mandalorian season 1 probably ahead of any Marvel show. Probably season 2 as well. I think Loki season 2 was the best thing they've ever released.
Here's the thing, though. I think Loki season 2 is such a success because it is season 2, right? Yeah. And so I feel like it's hard.
You can include season 1 though. It's still the best show overall. You would put Loki season 1 over WandaVision? I already do.
Because if I had to rank them, it would probably, for me, from a rewatchability standpoint, it probably would be Loki season 2, WandaVision, then Loki season 1, if anything. But I think Loki season 2 gets the special bonus because we have 6 other hours worth of
and why didn't Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness get a special bonus?
Well, I'm talking about Disney Plus stuff though, right?
Sure. I already have Loki season 1 just slightly above WandaVision anyway. And I recognize that's your taste. That's debatable. I'm fully with that. And I'm fine with that. I would put Loki season 1, which is my favorite Disney Plus show before this, with Loki season 2 ahead of everything else, because Mando season 3, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't nearly as good as the first 2 seasons. I think Loki hasn't missed yet. So it's my number 1. But I know everybody can have a different opinion. I'm just kind of messing around here and strongly voicing mine. Jenna, what do you think?
I think Loki writ large is easily one of my top 3, probably my top 2 of the Disney Plus shows. I think I really need to rewatch this season as an entire entity, because I think having watched the first 4 episodes so early and having that idea of what I thought the season was going to be, and then getting to where we're at now, I really liked the first 4 episodes. There were some parts I didn't love, but I liked them. But then 5 and 6 really crystallized it for me. So I think I need more time to kind of just sit with this as an entire entity, but I did still really enjoy it.
You know what you're gonna do when you rewatch Loki season 2? You're gonna push that second button
No,
a bunch,
Jim,
because I think that for me is probably going to be the biggest issue of this season. I loved this season. Let me just say, like, this season.
yeah,
I think
all 4 minutes that you watched of it
played. That's right. This season played with concepts in a way that felt made for television, in a sense, right? Felt way more episodic in nature, which I really appreciated. But you probably, if you made the episodes maybe a little bit longer, you probably could have cut one maybe 2 episodes off of this thing and still had the same show.
All right, so what do you rate season 2 out of 10?
I'd probably give it an 8.5 if I was feeling spicy.
Jenna, did you give it a number?
I did not. I think it's about the same. I would say like 8.25 probably right now. But like I said, the 5 and 6 helped boost that number a lot for me.
Aaron's been quiet this whole time. Well, here come the thoughts.
I'll probably give it like an 8, because like I'm about to say, it's very tightly plotted. Shout out to Eric Martin and them for making a closed loop system while everybody yelled about the time travel and them two not making any sense. And then this is pretty much airtight. But people are still going to argue about it, because we've been here again. We'll just end up in this chair always. That's what we do. For Jamie, WandaVision supremacy. Because she's not here to defend herself.
Yes.
Sure.
Jamie would have like steam coming out of her ears.
Oh yeah, I'm about to say
Baby's
she
whole rant.
wouldn't have sat here patiently like I did.
No.
That's not right.
No.
What happened?
Cam, forgive me if I shouldn't share this.
It's out of focus. We can't really read it.
Cam said, "Ashamed for Viscardi." Just like the rest of the comment section.
Ashamed.
I
Oh,
love
God.
Cam, man. Cam, I invited Cam on last week, but he had to go play football. I don't know what that guy thinks he's doing. He's got a career in the NFL. Cam is an awesome dude, and he loved Loki as well. That's taste. I knew I had some friends somewhere with taste who could recognize the 9+ score this show deserves. Kim, I bet nobody else pressed fast forward in my life.
There's someone in there that in the chat who might just be Jim from another timeline. 'Cause he's like, Moon Knight is better than season 2. And I was like, Jim, you got burgers?
Jim AI.
Hi, Derek. I see you.
Look, everyone's just mad because they know I'm right. And they just can't find it in themselves to just come to terms and admit it. It's fine. It's okay. I'm doing
That's
it for you,
Dylan
man.
would say.
I'm doing it for
I'm
you.
like Invincible in the opening scene from that Multiverse. All right. Well, no, it's all jokes. We all love Jim. We all have a good time on here.
You don't miss anything in 10 seconds.
I
okay?
also want
Especially in those long staring moments.
You are
You'll
the
miss
reason
exactly
why
10 seconds worth.
Movies into TikToks. Like, you're the reason why people do that. Clearly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's our Loki season 2 bonus episode run. This was a blast. We're gonna figure out how to tackle Echo. They're releasing all 5 episodes at the same time. What If is not doing that? What If is going to have a different release structure? So we're also going to have to figure out how to do bonus episodes around that. We have our regular Wednesday shows for the rest of the year. We have some rankings episodes still ahead. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up on Phase Zero before the year's over. This has been hands down one of the most fun rides, I would say, since 2021 on Phase Zero is these Loki bonus episodes. I've had so much fun, and I really appreciate all you guys who have been a part of this show with me on Thursday nights. Richard and Peter behind the scenes, Jim who's joining us, Jamie who joins us usually every Thursday, but tonight Jamie is out having a blast at the box lunch event. I bet she's having such a good time. I hope she is, and I can't wait to see the content she gets out of that. But that's our show, man. Jim, any last words for our Loki season 2 finale bonus episode?
No, like I said, like Loki again, right, has kind of, I think, surprisingly restored a lot of faith in the kind of the MCU, right? This is the MCU done right. And when it's done right, it is some of the best entertainment out there, right? And this is the most fun I've had. Look, I loved Moon Knight, and I wish Moon Knight came out at 8 p.m. Central and we got to have fun stuff like this, right? I wish WandaVision did, right? Because think of all the fun we had with WandaVision, even like waiting, like to have those moments kind of fresh right out of WandaVision would have been phenomenal. And so I really do I hope this time frame sticks for these Disney Plus shows. Because I think launching them at midnight or whatever the hell they do truly kills a lot of the momentum and a lot of the excitement for it, because now everyone can do it and you can experience it, and everyone's like having that moment together, and that's truly what makes television so great. And so like I said, like I thoroughly enjoyed being able to experience Loki with everyone and not having to, worry about waking up at 6 a.m. to try and crush it and then come up with stories to write.
Marvel not being associated with my cup of coffee is nice. Jenna?
I completely echo what Jim said. I'll just say that because, like, I was thinking about this last week of like the She-Hulk era, if it had been in primetime, would have been so wild in the best way. I say that as someone who stayed up till 3-4 in the morning every week to watch it and write about it. But I do hope they keep this going forward, because I feel like it would have been, it was so fun for this. And I'm at Hey It's Gentleman on social media. Go read some comics. Go read Loki, Agent of Asgard. I know I recommended it on the show last week, but this episode just made it even more relevant, and it is a really good run. So go read it and go watch things without skipping 10 seconds at a time.
All right.
Comment section is still cooking his ass. Aaron.
Although I gotta give Mike Rita some props here. Experience Loki about 2 minutes faster than everyone else.
Why?
It's a good one.
You stay off of TikTok, bro. Frying your brain. Aaron. Jim only watched an hour of Oppenheimer with all this kidding.
It'll change your life once you embrace it.
No, I will never do it.
No.
That would be so irresponsible of me. I gotta come on here and talk like I know what I'm talking about. I see it. I want to enjoy it.
I'm sorry. Okay.
What just happened, Jim? Why are you like this? Why are you?
Oh my God. It's not even that late. Can you imagine if it was midnight? Hi, I'm Aaron. Add something recorded on Twitter. Oh my God. I'm going to be laughing about this for 35 minutes after we get off this.
Jim skip.
Go watch Jamie's box lunch interviews tomorrow. I'm sure they're going to be great. I'm like literally tearing up. Cannot get through a promo right now without crying. Go see the Marvels and go read comicbook.com, where they have worked tirelessly to tell you about Yggdrasil and Mortis and all this other stuff. And my eyes are still watering. I cannot get out of this promo. Brandon, save me. Save me.
Jim the Flash got nothing on me, Viscardi. Wow. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. What a perfect way to end this. I love the Phase Zero crew. I love the Phase Zero community. I feel like we're saying goodbye just because it's the end of one era. We're on to the Marvels tomorrow. We have a bonus episode for that coming to you tomorrow afternoon on the Phase Zero YouTube channel. It'll be available on all major podcast platforms. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Turn the notifications on. Leave a 5-star review on all the major podcast platforms. Play our show for your mom. Play it for your dog. Anything to get +1 on that view count, and play it all the way through to the end so the Spotify really puts it in the algorithm and tells everyone else to listen to. We appreciate that. This has been a huge success, and that's not only because my awesome co-hosts and the people behind the scenes have been showing up every Thursday to do the work, to come prepared, to be the experts, to have the passion, to have the fun, and to give you something entertaining, but because you are showing up with us to listen, to watch, to have a good time, and we love you for it. So we're not going anywhere. It's just the end of the Loki season right now, and we will have our regular show every Wednesday at noon Eastern time going forward, and bonus episodes as we see fit, as we can cook them up. And if you have ideas, send them to us on social media. We'll see you there.